Hey everybody, welcome back to another Jackson Jetsetting cruise tour. Today we're checking out the Oasis of the Seas. It's Royal Caribbean's fourth largest ship and the fourth largest ship in the world. It was the largest when it premiered in 2009, and it's since been amplified with tons of new water slides and things to do. You have the Aqua Theater there, you have the rock climbing wall, and just dozens and dozens of other things to do on board. So we're going to do a full ship tour starting at the very bottom here on deck 3. This features the conference center as well as part of the main dining room and the lower level of some of the theaters on board. So not really too much to see on this deck, but did want to feature it. Hopefully you're not on board for business, but if you are, this is where you'd go. So we're on the forward part of deck 3 here. You can walk all the way back to the main dining room if you find yourself on this section of the ship. But we're going to head up to deck 4 and check out the forward part of that deck. So this is where you would enter the Royal Theater. This is the big theater on board that features all the main production shows. They'll show movies in here sometimes. They'll do Captain's Corner, your Welcome Aboard show, lots of activities here, bingo. So this is a really big theater, fits a ton of people. Now there's over 6,500 people on board when it's fully maxed out as it was on this holiday cruise. So it does not fit everyone on board. So if you want to go to one of the shows in here and you think it's going to be pretty popular, make sure you grab a seat early. So the theater is a part of the neighborhood on board called Entertainment Place. The ship has divided itself into a number of different neighborhoods to make it a little bit easier to try and find your way around rather than deck by deck. So you're going to see a lot of kind of the nighttime entertainment in this section of the ship. You're one deck below the Royal Promenade as well. So it's a really big focal point of the ship. They have a nice sign that points you down here. But they also have a little jazz room to the left here, Jazz on 4, that we're going to check out. So this will have a kind of big band feel at night. It's a really cool place to hang out. I like the music coming out of here most times, even though I didn't get to hang out in here during my cruise. Really a nice little space. If you're into jazz music, you are well taken care of on board the Oasis of the Seas. And so then across the hall from Jazz on 4 is Blaze, which is the ship's nightclub. It's also the ship's comedy club. Pro tip, try and get an early boarding time if you are into some of the shows on board, including the comedy. All the adult comedy on board our vessel. Our voyage was reservations only, and by the time that we got on board a little after noon, they were all spoken for. They do have waitlist options, so you may be able to get in. We didn't try, but it is all happening here at Blaze. It's not a gigantic room, but it's good for comedy. So just a little tip there. Now we're going to keep making our way aft on deck 4. We have the Diamond Club here, so if you're a Diamond Club member, you do have your own dedicated lounge that has breakfast, snacks in the evening, a little bit more of a dedicated space for the loyal Diamond members. Studio B here is the ship's ice skating rink. It also turns into laser tag at certain points during the cruise, which is pretty cool here. So it's a nice dedicated space for those shows. Don't miss the ice show. I think it's one of the best things on board. But now we're going to walk around it. So there's two different hallways that kind of encircle the Studio B and funnels you right into some people's favorite room on board, which is the casino. So the Casino Royale, pretty large on this ship. Definitely Vegas style. Has all of your craps, blackjack, single deck blackjack, poker, and of course slot machines. So a lot of options here for the gambler. So as we walk out of the Casino Royale, we'll meet the middle level of the main dining room. So whether you have a set time or the my time dining, all that happens here in the main dining room, just on different levels. It gets very busy, of course, around dinner time. You do have lunch and breakfast most days in here as well. So that's a little pro tip. And you have a full waiter service meal in the main dining room, which I always do love to do. One thing that kind of surprised me about the Oasis's dining room wasn't quite as grand as I would have expected on the Freedom class ships. You can see those tours on the channel. Much larger, a little bit more grand. I think that there's just so many restaurants on board here. They reduced the size of this one a little bit, but still a nice place to have a free meal that's included with your cruise. Right next door is Izumi, which is the first of the specialty restaurants that we're going to come across. Didn't get a chance to dine here on our cruise, but it has two separate concepts. It has a sushi bar and a la carte menu on the left side of the restaurant, and then of course you have the hibachi over on the right, which is always very, very popular. So now we're going to head up to deck 5. So right above this is the ship's running track. So this is kind of cool. It runs around the entire ship. 2.4 laps is a mile, so it's bigger than your average track. Runs right by the fitness center too, which is kind of cool. So you do have a little secret stairwell down to the track from the fitness center. Just kind of keeps things all together in the health section of the ship. Then we have the top level of the main dining room on deck 5. So we're still in the forward part of the ship. And so that's pretty much the same menus on each level. Just depends on what your dining time is or if you have the my time dining. The fun thing about this level is this is the Royal Promenade. This is an absolutely gigantic Royal Promenade compared to some of the other smaller ships on Royal Caribbean. So over the left you have Regalia, which is kind of your watch store. You also have guest services over there. This is the Rising Tide bar, which is an elevator bar that goes up and down, which is pretty cool. It goes up to the Central Park area that we'll see in a second. Bionic bar is pretty cool. This is the robot bartenders, not included in the drink package. Fun to grab one drink here. I do think it's a lot of space given just what it actually is. And another annoyance is if you do buy a drink, there's still that service charge. So even though there's robots, it does cost you a little bit of a service charge for your drink. You have your jewelry store over to the right. Lots of shopping and dining kind of mixed in here. Lots of activity happening on the ship in this area. Cafe Promenade Cafe. You notice this is actually 2 stories. So we're going to check out deck 6 and the stuff on the Royal Promenade on deck 6 in a second. Was a Christmas voyage, so they have some Christmas decorations up. You have the Globe and Atlas pub. So you can get your draft beers, kind of specialty beers here. Lots of choices there. Fun little atmosphere and very similar to some of the other Royal Promenade pubs there. Sorrento's is the included pizza restaurant. So they have pizza, they have some kind of antipasti type items here, as well as bar. Here's one of your freestyle machines right there. So if you have the beverage package, you get a cup. You can refill sodas for free. Some fun theming here. People kind of removing some graffiti. Some more shops here in the middle. So you have your duty-free liquor, sort of your logo shop, kind of your Royal Caribbean shop there. And then now we're heading into where the Starbucks is, here in the middle. So they have a dedicated Starbucks. Looks like a walk-up Starbucks is at any mall in America, which is pretty cool. And then the Spotlight Karaoke. So cool that they have a dedicated karaoke room. They also end up playing trivia here. Not a gigantic space, so if you do want to get here for trivia a little early, it's probably the best call. They do have a bar in here as well. And then we're going to make our way across the Royal Promenade once more and reach Boleros, which is the Latin bar on board. They have a ton of fun Latin music throughout the day and evenings. Fun little theme here, kind of a Havana theme. Here's the sign down to entertainment place, which we've already been to on the lower decks. Then we have the top level of the Royal Theater. So the Royal Theater is 2 levels. So now we're going to head 1 level above to Deck 6. This is where the Vitality at Sea Spa and Fitness Center is. Deck 6 is kind of a split deck, so bear with me here. So we're going to walk in to the Vitality Spa and check out what it looks like. So I do recommend checking out the spa on the day of embarkation if you want to see what exactly it looks like. That's usually what I do for these tours, is jump in there for the tour. Usually the only way you can check it out before they start actually, having people in there for their services. It's not as awkward filming in there. So this spa's pretty big, definitely bigger than a lot of the other Royal Caribbean spas I've seen. So they have a nice salon up here in the front, as well as a smoothie bar. Smoothies and drinks are included in any beverage package that you might have, or an extra charge if you don't. The food's included though, so a little bit of healthier items here. Now we're gonna make our way into the main part of the spa. So it is a 2-level spa. Lots of room here for treatments. They have a mud room, they have sort of a relaxation room like they do on a lot of other ships. So overall, a lot of stuff here. Connected to the spa is also the fitness center, which is pretty great. Nice and big for a ship of this size. Like I said, it does have a stairwell down to the jogging track, which is pretty cool. So all your fitness and health stuff is kind of located here in the forward part of Deck 6. Now we're going to jump to the aft part of Deck 6. As I said, this is a split deck, so they do have a connecting pathway through the cabin corridors to get to this part of the ship. But this is where you're going to find the next cruise desk as well as the schooner bar. So the schooner bar is kind of a classic Royal Caribbean bar. This one's entirely too small, I think, for this size of ship. They do a lot of trivia in here. It was usually pretty packed. Just a note, I filmed this pretty early in the morning. It was a packed holiday voyage, so this is about as empty as you're ever going to see this ship. But I was able to capture the shots for my loyal YouTube followers. If you're not someone who has subscribed to the channel and you like these types of videos, give it a follow, subscribe, like the video, helps me a ton. So then across the way is the picture this photo bar. So this is kind of where you buy your family photos, that sort of thing. Big space for that. So we're going to enter the Boardwalk neighborhood now on deck 6. So this is a pretty big hub of activity. This is one of the cooler spots on the ship. Very popular with the kids and adults, and you'll see why in a second. So as you exit the doors, you're going to find yourself actually outside in fresh air on what is basically a boardwalk. So you have some nice theming here, kind of gets you in the mood for what you're about to experience. So you do have the free carousel on board, which is pretty cool. You have the hot dog stand. So they have brats, regular hot dogs, sauerkraut, grilled onions. That's all included in your cruise fare. You have a little mini arcade over here with some Pop-A-Shot. Carousel again. And then you have Sugar Beach, which is the specialty candy store. They have high-end gelato as well. And a little to-go window for the gelato. You have a beach shop right there with some beach-style items. You got Playmakers, which is the cool sports bar. They have pool tables in here. They have some good beers. They'll be playing all the games that you are thinking and hoping that they'll be playing on your voyage, so you don't want to miss any of that. That'll be here. They have a specialty menu as well of American-style food, so that's all an extra charge, but pretty tasty. And this is the end of the Abyss, which is a dry slide. It's one of the tallest slides at sea, has sound and lighting effects, and it comes decks above near the flow rider, which we'll see in a second. Johnny Rockets is here as well. So this is a specialty restaurant, has your burgers, fries, etc. Milkshakes are included in the beverage plan, but not included in the cover charge. A little play area for the kids here. And then we've entered the rock climbing area. So there's 2 rock climbing walls on board on either side of the boardwalk. And then of course the Aqua Theater, which is where you're going to see your diving shows. And so besides the rock wall, which is technically on deck 7, there's nothing else for public guests on deck 7, just staterooms. So we're gonna head up to deck 8 and check out some more really cool things on the Oasis of the Seas. That previous shot from the boardwalk, you'll see some really pretty glass up above, and this is actually the music hall. So this is a 2-story venue. They play a lot of games in here. They have bands at night. I really love this space. It's probably my favorite room on board the ship. It just was really well designed. You could see everything that was going on. They had lots of seating. It seemed like it was pretty popular with guests too, and it has just this really cool window, so you can get a really impressive view of the ship. And on the second story, there's a secret pool table as well as another bar. They'll play music videos during the day if there's nothing else going on in here. So pretty cool. So now we're going to go back down to deck 8 and walk out to the Central Park, which is where a lot of the specialty restaurants on board are. It's a really cool area. It's probably my favorite outdoor area of the ship. All real plants throughout here. They actually have balcony cabins that look out onto it. They chirp in bird noises and bugs and stuff like that to make it feel like a real park. It's really cool out here. So over on this side, you have the Chops Grill, which is the steakhouse on board. One thing I like about the specialty restaurants on the Oasis class ships is that they have some outdoor seating, unlike on other cruise ships that Royal Caribbean operates, so that's pretty cool. Here's the top floor of that rising tide bar. So the elevator / bar arrives here, and you exit onto the park, which is pretty cool. Then over to the right here is 150 Central Park. This is another kind of high-end seafood slash steakhouse. I like the food here a lot. They have lobster on the menu that's included. Chops does still charge for that lobster, so you have a kid that fell right here, so he was fine. Park Cafe is an included restaurant on board, has some salads that can be made for you. They have some sandwiches that they'll heat up, as well as an espresso bar. Then over here is Giovanni's. You have a cool little park area that they use for photos. Nice little quiet spot there. There's also some tables that have chessboards that you can play some chess or checkers on. You have a nice view of the water slides up on the pool deck. And then now we're walking towards the Central Park Library. So this is the library on board. They also have Sudoku puzzles and word searches and crosswords every day. Just a little added activity that's free. And then to add to the upscale nature, there are some shops right here. More of your luxury goods. And then across the way is Vintages, which is a nice little wine bar on board. It also has a extra charge tapas menu that's more Spanish tapas, really good food. So if you're looking for a little snack, a little bit more upscale, it's pretty affordable, and you can just pay per piece. So Deck 9 just features the top level of the music room. Deck 10 doesn't have anything public, and Deck 11 and 12 has the card room. So this is actually a 2-level card room. Not a very big space by any means, but has a cool view over the boardwalk. So jumping up to Deck 14, there's no Deck 13. You have the Apollo 18 Mission Control Escape Room, so that's pretty fun. That's an extra charge on board, about $20 a person. Also on this level is the Adventure Ocean Kids Zone, so they have from toddlers up to age 12 in this section of the ship. Lots of really cool stuff in here. Not necessarily as impressive as what you'll see on maybe a Disney ship, but still a lot of room for the kids to play around. So we'll walk through all those areas. Now we're up on aft deck 15. We're gonna check out the sports court. This is where a lot of public activities are. Lots and lots of fun stuff back here. So we're gonna walk outside. First, we're gonna see the arcade. So this is the Challenger arcade. These are all extra money. Lots of fun stuff going on in here. Sometimes some of the games may be broken. There's also a little secret passageway over to the teen club, which is on this level, appropriately right next to the arcade. The room across the hall kind of acts as a sundry store. You have your, Band-Aids and Advil and sunscreen and aloe, those sort of things. Maybe some things that you forgot on the trip or that you need more of. So lots of options there. So now we're going to turn and walk further aft through the El Loco Fresh area. This is an included restaurant. Pretty good Mexican food, I will have to say. Fresh made tortillas with their tortilla press, which is pretty cool. It does get kind of long lines on sea days. But you get your burritos, tacos, that sort of thing. Here's the sports court on board. So this has your basketball, pickleball, dodgeball at certain periods of time. Lots of fun stuff going on there. We're going to keep walking towards the flow riders and more activities on this section of the ship. So this is one of two flow riders on the ship. One is dedicated to just kind of boogie boarding, the other's for stand-up surfing. Then you have the Ultimate Abyss, the top of it, so that goes all the way down to the boardwalk, as we saw earlier. You have the wipeout bar underneath the funnel, and then the other flow rider on the other side. Right here is also where you get in line for the zip line that goes across the boardwalk. Pretty fun, pretty short, but it is free. Pretty crazy to have a zip line on a ship. And then you have the 9-hole mini golf course. This is the same layout as I've seen on pretty much every amplified Royal Caribbean ship. We're gonna walk into Portside Barbecue here, but first, in the middle between El Loco Fresh and here is the Teen Club. Back inside Portside Barbecue, this is an extra charge. Have sort of buffet style barbecue. Generally, if you're a fan of barbecue, probably not gonna be super impressed with the offerings here, but it is available to you. So now we're walking forward, checking out more of Deck 15. So you have your Patty dive shop over here. It's where you can get some snorkel gear as well. They actually do scuba classes on board, so in case you're wanting to learn how to dive, you can do all your checkout dives in the islands on your cruise, which is pretty fun. Then over here is one of many pools on the pool deck. This is considered the sports pool. On the other side is the kids zone, Splashaway Bay. So you have another water slide. We'll check that out in a little bit. Lime and Coconut is multi-stories. They have different bars through here. This is your pool bar. Fun little theme there. You can get your painkillers and fancy island drinks here. This is the main pool, and then on the other side is the beach pool. You're separated by the alcove that is Central Park. And then you have a lot of water slides right here. These were added when the ship was renovated. So these are the perfect storm water slides. So you have two that are body slides, fully enclosed with some clear parts there, and then what a lot of people call the toilet bowl. So it launches you through that bowl and you spin around and then come out the bottom. All have pretty long lines on sea days, so get there early or on an embarkation day if you want to save on the lines. Now we're going to walk through the Solarium, which is adults only, 16 and up, has a lot more hot tubs, nice little peaceful, tranquil oasis. Over to the left is the cantilevered whirlpools, which are really fun, very popular, and I like how they have sports screens playing football, etc. in there. So a very popular spot to hang out. This is sort of a secret spot on the ship. This is all the way forward. You have great views for sail away from here. Not always open. I saw it closed off a lot. It gets pretty windy up here, but pretty cool spot. Down below there is the Solarium Bistro that is included. If you're thinking the Windjammer is going to be super busy, the buffet on the ship, this is also a buffet, less people here, a little bit smaller, so maybe a little bit more manageable. So now we're going to go up a level to deck 16. That's where the Solarium bar is. So now we're going to walk forward to aft on deck 16 down to the Windjammer, taking a look at more of the pool deck, getting kind of more bird's eye view of what everything looks like. So as promised, here's Splashaway Bay. So this is great for kids. Big splash zone when everything's going. Dedicated water slide, a little bit smaller than the other ones. And located right next to the Windjammer. So the Windjammer is open for breakfast, lunch, and dinner. Always very packed. So just pack your patience here. We'll walk through. So jumping to the forward part of deck 17 is the suites sun deck. So deck 17 is basically dedicated just for suites. Didn't have a suite on this cruise, but wanted to check out what the area looked like. So it's basically just a more private area, some more upscale seating, and a bar. And then aft on 17 is the Coastal Kitchen, which is exclusive to suites, as well as the Suites Lounge, which is in the same space. And if you're curious what a balcony cabin looks like on board the Oasis of the Seas, here's our balcony cabin for our voyage. Nice spacious room, we were happy with it. So you can take a look at the full tour here. Again, thanks a lot for watching. Appreciate you viewing. If you made it all the way this far, hope to see you on another ship tour or resort tour on Jackson Jetsetting.